Back now to our top story, the investigation into reports of this alleged chemical attack in Syria. The videotape is nothing short of horrific. In fact, we can't even show you the video that we actually have. The United Nations Secretary General calling the images heartbreaking, they're sickening. But even as the U.S. Navy repositions warships for the possibility of action, it's unclear whether President Obama will pursue that kind of response. Mark Dubowitz joins us now, Executive Director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Mark, good to see you. Twice now, Assad has defied the warning that was issued by President Obama with nearly no consequences. Maybe the Wall Street Journal got off the best line, and I'll quote them. We'll put it up on the screen. "We can't rule out that Assad is on Dean Obama's double-secret probation list, along with all the other misbehaving blutos in the global animal house. Otherwise, Assad's use of chemical weapons has had no discernible impact on the president's calculus." I mean, do they have it about right?
Well, Greg, they seem to, because Assad seems contemptuous of the Obama administration and of the United States of America. He is using chemical weapons against his own people. It's a major WMD attack in the heart of the Middle East, which is a key strategic area for the United States. The Obama administration set this as a red line, and he has now repeatedly violated this without any consequences.
Well,
so
and Mark, I mean, the trouble with the president drawing a line in the sand, again, he called it a red line, is that he's forced to act when Assad steps over it. But then when the president failed to act, or he backed down, depending upon your point of view, did he lose credibility and respect? And does that send a signal to others, Iran, Hezbollah, even Russia, not to mention al-Qaeda, that America doesn't have the courage or conviction to act?
Well, Greg, I think it sends a signal to those enemies and adversaries, but it also sends a signal to our allies that the United States may not be serious about enforcing red lines, about enforcing commitments. So if you're Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem right now, and you've heard the president say, "I don't bluff, and I will stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons," you may not be taking that commitment seriously now, and you may be making your own decisions about how you're going to defend your country and your people from an Iranian regime that is supporting Assad in using WMD against the Syrian people while developing a nuclear weapon that the Iranian regime wants to use against the Jewish state.
Right, and Netanyahu, in fact, said Syria is the field test of Iran. So, look, what about a narrow military option of airstrikes? We could, use standoff weapons, cruise missiles that would not jeopardize U.S. personnel. I mean, couldn't they destroy Syrian government functions, delivery systems, command and control, frontline artillery batteries? They could actually ground much of Assad's air force.
Well, Greg, that's right, and I think they can go further than that. I think they can hit Iranian assets in Syria. I mean, right now, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Quds Force, Iranian-backed Iraqi militias, and Iranian-backed Hezbollah are on the ground supporting Assad, supporting the killing of Syrian people. And it's a target-rich environment. I think the United States has the opportunity right now not only to send a message to Assad that chemical weapon use will not be tolerated, but to send a message to Iran's Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, that he better watch out, that if his development of nuclear weapons continues, this administration doesn't bluff.
Well, President Obama, of course, picked Samantha Power as the new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, the UN convening a very important emergency meeting of the Security Council over the chemical weapons. And Power, who has only been on the job for a scant 19 days, was a no-show. She was on vacation. Honestly, I've never heard of anybody going on vacation after, 19 days on the job. What does this say?
Well, I think it also says that the United States has no faith in the UN Security Council, because they know that Russia and China are going to block any attempt by the United States to get UN Security Council approval. Now, she should be there making a forceful argument on behalf of U.S. national security interests. But I think the Obama administration now needs to figure out another way to do this. And I think they're looking at the Clinton administration strikes against Milosevic during the Kosovo air war as a potential legal precedent to do this outside of the UN Security Council and do this within the context of a NATO strike, if indeed that's the decision that's made.
Mark, last question. There are, as we know, Islamist terrorist groups now operating in Syria. They are growing in strength. So is this not just about human atrocities in Syria, but this is America's national security. If Syria is the new Yemen, isn't this a training ground for terrorists who are dedicated to killing Americans?
Greg, that's right. The problem is it's been 2.5 years of inaction by the Obama administration. 2.5 years ago, we need to remember that the Syrian uprising was a peaceful uprising by moderate Syrians against brutal Assad regime rule. And Democrats and Republicans in Washington suggested to the Obama administration it was time to act. President Obama did not want to act. A year later, he rejected the advice of his national security team, including Hillary Clinton, David Petraeus, and Leon Panetta, to again arm the moderate Syrian rebels. Well, there are no moderate Syrian rebels left that really have any ability to influence events right now. You're left with al-Qaeda and Sunni extremists on one hand, fighting Assad, Iran, and Hezbollah on the other. And the United States has had no opportunity now to actually choose an option that could protect American national security interests. We've helped to create the sectarian bloodshed where you've got extremists fighting each other on both sides, and now you have the massive use of WMD in the heart of America's national security region. We are a choice now not between good and bad options, but between bad and worse options, and the president, unfortunately, has created this mess.
Yeah, sort of a Hobson's choice. In the end, there's really only one choice. Mark Dubowitz, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Greg.